Bear is the coming of age sung through musical that follows a group of high school students navigating life, love, and identity at a private Catholic boarding school. Exploring themes of faith, self discovery, and the weight of hidden truths, the story builds to a powerful and tragic climax. Musical Theater Southwest, in collaboration with the New Mexico Gay Men's Chorus, has embraced the challenge of bringing this emotionally charged production to the stage. And today we're joined by cast members to share more about their experience with the show. Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining me today to talk more about the production. So, we are going to start with what it's about. So, what is Bear about?
Bear is a contemporary, like pop rock musical, and it follows a group of seniors at a Catholic boarding school who, like most teens, grapple with issues like sexuality and identity, and their future. Peter and Jason are roommates that have fallen in love with each other, but Jason's a popular athlete and he's worried that he'll lose his status if his gayness is discovered. But truly, at its core, it's a coming of age story with a mostly sung through like pop score. And it's as fun as it is thought provoking. And by thought provoking, I mean heart wrenching.
Yeah. This goes out to all of you. If you would like to start, I'll go ahead and have Lennon start this off. Tell me about your character in the production and how you prepared for the role in terms of how you related to that character.
My character is Jason, and Jason McConnell, and he's like Kira said, he's supposedly the popular guy, uh, who he plays basketball. He's athletic. He's kind of friends with everyone. Is also in love with Peter. He doesn't want people to know about that. He's very, very, very cautious about that and the way that he approaches his relationship with Peter. I think overall he's a charismatic guy, but throughout the show with all of the struggles in the show and everything like that, it's a confusing time for the character. In terms of how I prepared for the character, uh, it was mostly, I'd say it was mostly physical things I think that I tried to do. I think the character himself, he's a preppy guy. I mean, obviously in a Catholic boarding school where a lot of the people there, their parents are of higher like wealthier status sort of. So in that case, Jason was raised in a more wealthy family who stressed like the importance of looks and how uh, people perceive them and everything like that. So I think the biggest thing was trying to, make sure that he had good posture and wasn't slouching all the time, and that he looked like he was caring about what people thought of him kind of all the time. So I wanted to make those things show in in whenever people saw um, the character. I wanted people to maybe wonder if he was always wondering if people were looking at him.
And Nick, how about you?
I actually play the character of Matthew Lloyd. He usually goes by Matt in the show. My character is more of an antagonist through most of the show, so I kind of help guide some of the story and different things like that. Um, Matt is kind of a hopeless romantic for the character Ivy in this, but he's not ever usually seen. And so he kind of lashes out, and a lot of that lashing out causes different things to occur through most of the show. I don't feel like I necessarily completely relate to my character, but from the standpoint of like, I've dealt with people who've done something similar to myself. And so a lot of the time when playing the role of Matt, it's understanding the other side more than anything and trying to implement some of those things to show the like true meaning behind like the lashing out or the being very homophobic and different things like that in that situation.
All right, Kira, we're coming to you.
My character, Nadia, is very abrasive. She feels very left out and she's constantly comparing herself to the other girls at school. She has a lot of body image issues, which I can definitely relate to. And I think she reacts to them in a much more abrasive way than I normally would. But I think preparing for this character, bringing out kind of like a grittier belt when singing and kind of playing on that edgier side, um, definitely brought more of the Nadia feeling to, I guess, my voice and how that's portrayed, and the anger that she feels a lot of the time.
And Lauren, how about you?
So I play Ivy Robinson. As Kira said, she's like the pretty popular girl at school that is also kind of a pariah. She has a reputation formed around her that she's kind of the school mattress in a way.
Wow.
And yeah, she's very different from myself in the fact that she's really out there with how she dresses and how she behaves and carries herself. But what you really don't see until act two is how insecure she actually is and how much of who she is comes from that insecurity. And the reason that she portrays herself in this manner is because, you know, and this is kind of something that I've been able to relate to in my life, is seeking validation from the male gaze and making your self-worth based on that. And a lot of who she is just really comes from that insecurity, and that's why she carries herself that way. And it's interesting kind of diving into that part of yourself, because that's, I mean, it is something that I kind of wrestled with in my youth, not quite to the extent that she did. I was never like the popular, you know, whatever. But I think every girl kind of experiences that at some point in her life, where if you're getting attention from men, it makes you feel good about yourself. And that's just who she's created herself to be. It's, if I'm getting attention from men, it means I'm doing something right. But at the end of the day, it's like, who am I really? And what do I really want? And I think when she meets Jason Lennon's character, it opens up a door to her that she hasn't really seen before. So she's a unique personality, and it was kind of a struggle to find her for a little bit for me. But yeah, it's, I think she's somebody that every young girl could relate to in some form or another, because we all deal with insecurities and in some form or fashion. So
Young girls and women are still
mhm.
dealing with that
Oh yeah,
as
and
they get
men
older.
and everybody.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. So Leo, we end with you. Tell us about your character.
So my character is Rory, and I'm an ensemble character. Um, I have been kind of trying to relate to the character and just thinking of myself in high school. I didn't go to a Catholic school, but I did grow up Catholic, so a lot of it is very impactful. Our opening night, I was in tears from like the end of the show until all night. Which I didn't expect. I knew I was going to get emotional, but maybe not that much. And I think a lot of people would really relate to this show overall and to a lot of the characters. Even in the ensemble, you get little bits and pieces of these different characters and how they personally are being affected by being in the church and just being in a social group of friends, and the expectations that we have of ourselves and that we put on each other. So yeah, that's Rory is a, in like myself, I try and make her kind of a little bit shy, wants to follow the rules and be a good girl, you know, and all that kind of mix of things that we often go through in those years.
What would you say is the reason that this show is a must see?
I think its impact is just so huge, especially for, and it's kind of a more of an adult show in a way, but at the same, because of some of the content. But I do think it is actually really good for like older teens or older kids to see, especially if they are struggling with those types of things, or parents who might have kids who are gay or bi or transgender or whatever, and seeing how what they're doing and how they're trying to kind of force their kids to interact with the world,
Mhm.
with society, can be really detrimental and can even lead to your kid dying, and then the way that can affect every single person around them, all of their friends, their family, their teachers. um, Losing such a young person is really heartbreaking, and it is very serious that this is a thing that happens a lot because people feel, they truly believe, because they're taught you're going to go to hell. You're evil, or you have like this demonic thing going on and you need to just control it, and it's so far from the truth. And I think this show really shows that deeper side of things. Like, no, this isn't just some choice. This is who somebody is. And it's just that they love somebody. And by not allowing people to love who they love, how much damage that causes to that person and to like an entire community. So I think for anybody in our community, especially those in the church who might feel the most uncomfortable by it, would probably benefit from it the most.
And that is definitely a powerful message. So there are obviously with any production different personalities when it comes to so many people that are on cast. What is the dynamic like with this particular cast?
We actually have been really lucky. It doesn't happen with every cast, but we've been really lucky. We're all pretty much the same age. We all have a lot of the same interests, and we've gotten really close throughout the process. And so the dynamic is it's really supportive and collaborative. Bear is a really emotionally charged show, and so it's not something that you can do without forming some kind of bond or some
Yeah.
kind of relationship with your castmates, or without trust of one another. And so we really were able to build that trust. We all have a group chat. The students have a group chat that we talk in almost daily, and
Oh, wow.
we hang out with each other. We really just have managed to build this sense of trust on and off stage with one another, and being able to be there for one another on and off stage during such a really difficult, rehearsal process emotionally with just the subject matter. And then as we're going through the shows, it gets harder and harder to perform, just because you get more connected and you
Yeah.
become more, you relate more to your character, and so it becomes more emotionally difficult. Also more fun, but definitely more difficult. And so having that bond with one another is really, really important, and we can really rely on each other, and it makes it more believable on stage. The chemistry is real, the relationships are real, and the love is definitely there. So
Well, I know with this particularly emotionally charged production, it's great to have a director that understands that. I was really happy to see that Mark was taking charge of this production. He just recently won a New Mexico Entertainment Award for his performance on stage. So to see him essentially behind the scenes handling the cast, what has it been like working with Mark?
Working with Mark has been really great. This is my first time working with him at any capacity, and I'm actually kind of related to him. My aunt, my uncle's wife, is cousins with him.
Oh,
They
wow.
don't even know each other too much, but she told me about the musical, and I've been around MTS, so I thought, oh, this could be a cool opportunity. I think he cares a lot about the story. I know he's talked a lot about when he first saw it. It was like 20 years ago or something off Broadway, and it was just meant a lot to him. And of course, growing up in New Mexico, most of us are Catholic, if not Christian,
Yep.
or at least grow up that way or something, have some kind of church trauma. um, so I think he has a huge connection to it, and I think he put together a really good cast of people, and we've all, like Lauren was saying, we've really connected, and he's kind of left some room for us to create those bonds and really become a group. And yeah, I think he seems like he's very happy with what we've been doing also, which is always great to see from a director. after you've spent so much time and put so much, especially a show like this, putting so much love and your personal, maybe your personal church trauma
Yeah.
into it, having that being appreciated is really huge.
So for all of you, what is one word you would use to describe this production?
I would say personal. I don't think that there's probably not a single part of the show that isn't personal. I feel like the entire show is showing you these students' lives and their connections and their struggles, and there's every single bit of the show is personal, and every character has very personal moments that reveal who they are and how people treat them, how people perceive them. And so it's just an entirely personal show.
I think a word that could be used to describe it is raw, because it, at its core, it is very raw. It's unflinching. It's like Kier said, it's heart-wrenching, it's fearless, and there's a lot that happens on stage that I think you don't see a lot. And there's a lot of really raw and honest and deep emotions and experiences that are portrayed.
Lauren took mine. I was also going to say raw. But I think that the fact that the score is so operatic, we're singing most of the dialogue, it moves very fast, and it really causes us to kind of expose those emotions in a really raw way, singing through all of them. And the lyrics are just so creative, to be able to tell the whole story through song. So I think that that's a really good word for it.
How about you, Nick?
I would say cathartic for me.
Good one.
Is a big thing. Just having to, like, for me personally, this show is one of the shows that helped me get through a lot of the stuff that I was going through. I found it like in like 2010 out of nowhere, and I was never sure if I was actually going to be able to be a part of the show. And so when it finally came back full circle, I was like, wait, I wasn't ready for this. So it's like, in its own way, it's healing, because you're playing something that is normally something that you wouldn't normally get to play or see. And so by me playing the antagonist and even coming full circle to like redeem myself or anything like that in it, has shown me, even for some of the people that I've dealt with in my life that have been similar to my character, that they can change their minds and that they can come around and be there for you and be helpful.
I guess I'd say transformative, because I feel it really does. This story is so special, and it holds the power to transform people's points of view. And like Nick just said, that it is possible for people to come around, while there are a lot that just never will, unfortunately. There are people who are able to really, maybe through this story, see that love doesn't have to be met with so much hate.
What are you hoping the audience takes away from this production?
I think all of us could probably say that we hope that audiences walk away feeling seen and understood, no matter where they're coming from, because you don't have to be dealing with exactly what the characters are dealing with to understand or to relate in some way. Because, I mean, it deals with love, identity, and the weight of faith and all of those things mixed together. So that's a lot that anybody can relate to. Like Leah said, in New Mexico especially, we're all very faith-based. I myself grew up in the church. And I think if someone leaves the show feeling a little bit less alone or a little bit more understood, then it could inspire them to start a conversation, or it can inspire somebody who might not understand to start a conversation that they've been afraid to have. So if that's the case, then I think that we've done our job. So
thank you again for taking the time out to talk with me this week. I know it's a very busy week, so I greatly appreciate the time. And thank you for bringing a production to the stage that I think is going to be really important to a lot of people who witness it.
Thank you so
Thank you
much for
for
having us.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.